So Jaylen Brown just got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. And when I read out the trade package, you're going to realize how bad this trade actually is. The Boston Celtics get Paul George, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, while the Philadelphia 76ers get a Finals MVP Jaylen Brown. I genuinely think that this trade is going to end up worse than the Luka trade. Paul George only has a good 2 years left in him, and Jaylen Brown's won a title before. He's carried the Boston Celtics team this whole season, so I don't see why he can't do it again, especially now that he has Embiid, Maxey, VJ, LeBaron. He just has an incredible side cast compared to him in Boston. So this trade is just horrible. It's crazy, bro. This is horrible. This trade is actually horrible. They're saying that the Boston Celtics hired Nico Harrison just for this trade specifically. And low-key, I believe that. This is genuinely disgusting. So before this trade happened, apparently the Celtics had no interest in wanting to give Jaylen Brown his two-year contract, which was $145 million. And Jaylen Brown apparently felt very disrespected by being involved in trade talks. And I completely understand that. He's a Finals MVP and having to deal with trade talks. So you think that when a Finals MVP like Jaylen Brown, that's only 29 years old and just came off of the best season of their lives, is going to have a bunch of teams calling up the Celtics, offering some of their best players? But apparently Jaylen Brown's value isn't that high around the league. And people were calling him the 7th best player on that team. I can't name 7 people on that team. This season, I think Jaylen Brown was top 10 in the league. You're going to sit here and tell me that there were 6 better people on his team that were playing better than him? No. And let me read out some of the trades that were offered for Jaylen Brown. So the first trade was with the Timberwolves, and apparently they offered the Celtics Nas Reed and a few picks for Jaylen Brown. The Celtics said no, and instead they sent that off to Charlotte for LaMelo. The second trade was to do with the Pelicans, where it was going to be Trey Murphy for Jaylen Brown. And the last one was with the Cavs, where the Celtics were interested in moving Jaylen Brown for Evan Mobley. Nas Reed, Evan Mobley, and Trey Murphy were being offered for a Finals MVP Jaylen Brown. That's insane. No disrespect to my good Nas Reed, but that's not enough for Jaylen Brown. These are the types of trades that were being offered for Jaylen, and in my opinion, I think the best one was the one that the Blazers offered. The Blazers offered Shaedon Sharpe, Drew Holiday, and 4 first-round picks. So I have no idea why the Celtics would say no to that. That's an incredible trade. Maybe they didn't want Drew on that team that bad. I don't understand why, since he did bring them a ring. But that's probably the best trade that was offered to them for Jaylen Brown. And even then, I feel like that's not enough for the type of player Jaylen Brown is. We all know Jaylen Brown and his Twitch streams have definitely caused a lot of trouble in Boston, where apparently he rubbed some people in Boston the wrong way. What the hell? Okay, it's kind of sus. With his Twitch streams. His push to be viewed as Jason Tatum's equal and his claim that his last season was his best. Apparently they caused some headaches in Boston. And apparently behind the scenes there was plenty of grumbling about Jaylen Brown's desire to be viewed as a basketball equal to Jason Tatum. Personally, I'm taking JB over JT. I can understand people do say that they have Jason Tatum over him, but I think it can't be argued anymore. Jaylen Brown has just had an incredible season. He has a Finals MVP and a Conference Finals MVP over him, so I don't see how anyone could say Jason Tatum is better. I just think that Jaylen Brown disrespect is insane in the league. Yes, some of his stream clips aren't very professional, so I kind of get it. I mean, some of his stream clips were kind of out of pocket. I think the best one was when Jaylen Brown called his teammates and no one picked up. And then when Jeff T called Jason Tatum, he actually picked up.
I was gonna call Jason Tatum. Let's try Jason Tatum. Let's try. We get Jason Tatum. No, I got.
I hate them fucking braids.
Let me see. I think it's the right number. He got a lot of numbers. I don't know if it's the right one. Let me see. I got look. Yo, Jason.
And my job to talk in the media. It ain't your job to be a clown. It ain't.
God damn, nearest airport? Why do you need to know all this information? God, don't let me know you're working for the feds now. You working for the feds, bro.
So yeah, you can see that these stream clips are kind of funny, and no, they're not very professional, but I don't know how these stream clips are the reason for you to say that this guy is not good as Jason Tatum. Like, you're basing his basketball skills off of funny clips from a stream. Like, I don't understand how that makes sense. And if we're being honest, bro, the only people in Boston that were mad are those racist ass Boston fans seeing Jaylen Brown do this. I don't understand how that's a reason to be mad at him and say that he's been rubbing them the wrong way. Pause. That's really just crazy to me. But the fans aren't the ones that are just spouting nonsense about Jaylen Brown. Brian Windhorst is a flipping idiot, and this is what he had to say about Jaylen Brown.
That the Celtics felt that even though Jaylen Brown was talking about himself for MVP, or there was this MVP campaign for Jaylen Brown,
There was.
the Celtics did not feel that Jaylen had the best season on their team. And I don't mean Jason Tatum. I'm talking about they felt that Derek White had a better season.
What the hell are we talking about? Derek White had a better season than Jaylen Brown. And then there's this clip as well. I don't know who that is in the video, but he's an idiot too.
There's a spirited debate going on in front offices right now regarding Jaylen Brown. There's on one side, there's the analytics debate, and the analytics do not view Brown as a high-level player, a negative net rating over the last.
Look, I hate to be that guy to say this, and I don't usually pull this type of card out a lot, but I think now it can genuinely be said. The reason Jaylen Brown gets this much hate for being such a good basketball player, because he's an educated black Muslim man. Jaylen Brown has had one of the best seasons ever in his career. He was an MVP candidate and won a finals MVP the year before. Or 2 years before, I mean. So for him to be getting this much hate, there's only one reason for it. And this has been the case for him since the beginning of his career. His draft stock actually tanked because he was too educated. That's a real thing. That's genuinely true. So one of the worst things for an organization like the NBA is an educated Muslim black man that speaks out against ESPN, Disney, and a lot of other big companies. He's talked about that many times before. And when you play for the most racist city in America like Boston, which I don't know if that's like statistically true, I'm just kind of saying that. But nonetheless, you're gonna get a lot of hate for anything that you say, even if what you're saying is really harmless, like applying for streaming university and still apparently that ruffled people's feathers and rubbed them the wrong way, pause. But yeah, I think the disrespect to Jaylen Brown is crazy. This guy's gonna have an incredible season in Philly, playing alongside players like Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, LeBaron, and VJ Edgecombe. This team is looking very, very dangerous. I know in my last video I said that the only team that can stop the Raptors is the Knicks, but now the Sixers are looking deadly. I do wish that he did come to Minnesota, to be honest, but I can understand why the Celtics said no to getting just Naz Reid and a few picks. However, I do think that was a better trade than the Paul George trade. And I also think that the Shaedon Sharpe Drew Holiday trade was the best trade that was offered to them. And somehow they said no. By the way, when the Celtics were talking with Philadelphia, the Celtics asked for VJ and Paul George. The Sixers said no to VJ, looked at all the other trades around the league. Trey Murphy, Shaedon Sharpe, Drew Holiday, Naz Reid, and just still took Paul George. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why. So I do think that it is a good thing that he left that team. And he's going to have an incredible career in Philly. So we'll see what that becomes for sure. But that's the end of it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, I don't really have an outro. So yeah.